It's already been polluted anyway. The pet Jake with the when he was in the Byzantines, right? They were pagans basically too. They were pagans. That's why they lost certain wars, especially because they would keep Easter, and that's ultimately why they got destroyed because they celebrated Easter, and there were some kings that were just ignorant and may have been sincere, but they didn't know about that whole secret elite that were still controlling things in the background. Like I believe Vlad the Impaler was a Jake. I believe he was sincere. I just why else would he have fight the Ottomans? It's just he was a bit bugged the fuck out. I believe Constantine the 11th was sincere. I don't think they worship the devils, or I don't think they go out, and I don't think those wicked as devils today rule go back to them either. That's a lie too that some of these people brought out. That nigga Charles, whatever, that's an Edomite today. This stanky ass Edomite today. That dude does not go back to Vlad the Impaler. He does not go back to them. Vlad the Impaler's descendants are more than likely Israelites today. It's not being talked about. It's not in any high position right now. Okay, and I believe he was a black man, first off. Not a so-called Edomite, how they paint his image as. Same with Baldwin the Fourth. That dude, that Jake right there went hard, right? He could have looked like an Edomite, but he was definitely an Israelite. Who knows? Or he could have been dark skinned. I don't know, but I believe he was definitely sincere. But he was going off though. He didn't. He had a zeal. They had a zeal, but it wasn't according to knowledge. I don't believe the Knights Templars. No, those dudes were not satanic at all. Esau just ended up taking that and taking what they had and incorporated it into his own bullshit. Now once they got destroyed, Esau might have taken some of them. Esau might have taken a couple of them that were left that were Judas's, and they probably ended up doing wicked shit and teaching them about their ways, Knights Templars ways, because the Knights Templars basically also were responsible for making like the first bank. So they were smart and knew a lot of how to move. As far as them being all wicked and in the background like that, I don't believe any of that. Esau just took certain of their style and their name to make himself look cooler, because Esau like is a culture vulture, and made their name look all bad. But no, those men were actually real monk warriors and Christians who would listen to the scriptures while they went to go have their lunch, breakfast, whatever. Those were real warriors and monks fighting for a true cause. But that was still basically lacking knowledge, though. They were lacking knowledge, yeah. But they weren't whatever, man. They weren't fucking in the background. The Knights Templars were not in some secret society. Esau took that later on to smear their name, make their name look all bad. Now there might have been a couple that were left once they got completely destroyed, that were left that sold out. But for the most part, They weren't the ones that came up with all that Freemason shit. That's all myths and mythology to make them look bad and to make them look like they were just to I believe that's all a myth to assassinate their character and how virtuous their cause was. Okay, because they were fighting for honorable things, but they lacked knowledge though. As far as them going into as far as most of the Knights Templars going on behind the scenes in some secret room to praise idols and shit, I don't believe that. Okay, that's some shit that Esau. I believe that's some shit Esau made up to make them look all bad and to make his wickedness just to give himself more flavor, because he knows the Knights Templars were Jake's and Jake's former of all things and the salt of the earth, and just to make our name look all bad.
It's because they worship Eve. They worship the Virgin.
Okay, that's like saying that the Pharisees were in the background worshiping Baal and shit. I don't believe that. Now, they were wicked and they weren't sincere and they were about money, but they weren't in the background worshiping Satanism and shit like that. We can't go and say all that. We can't go as far back to say all that, because that's also bringing false accusations. We can't say all that. We don't know if that's true, and the scriptures doesn't mention that, but it does mention how they were jealous of Yahushua, and through how they were perceived in the scriptures, the four witnesses testimony on them and detailing what they saw about them, their character. Yeah, we can definitely for sure say they were about money and they were greedy and they were hypocrites and not sincere about being the shepherds for Israel as leaders at that time, or they were set up in that time. But we can't go as far as saying, oh, they worship Satan and they were in the back of worshiping Baal. That's all fucking mythology. Let's not go ahead and do that and bring false accusations about historical figures that we don't even know anything about. If it's there and it's facts, then yeah, that's like saying Solomon was in the back worshiping, doing witchcraft and summoning demons and shit. That if you're gonna believe the Knights Templars were Freemasons in the background like that, then you might as well believe that Solomon wrote books on demons and how to summon demons. Now, as far as the scriptures say, and some historical, comparing to historical accounts of describing the Knights Templars, nobody speaks on them being in the back or spending in some secret room. We don't know about that. It's not like going into Constantine the First, right? Who we know for sure incorporated pagan idol worship with that false Christian cop out he was using to make himself look like he was actually a true Christian. How can I say I know that for sure? How can I back that up for sure? Because there's statues of him that have that Mithraism behind it. You can go into Mithraism. It's a true elite, one of the elites religions that they used, satanic religions, idol religions that they used back in that time. Historical facts and archaeology will agree with you on that. Back me up on that. He incorporated that Mithraism with the Christian stuff, the Bible stuff, and that's why he's the one who came up with Sunday worship. Sunday, that's the Mithraism is sun worship. It's God as sun worship. That backs me up on that. But as far as the Knights Templar, show me any archaeology or anything like that will show that they were, in fact, doing Freemasonic shit behind it. That's just, you can't do that, bro. That's like saying that Solomon wrote a book on demons and shit. No, you can't do that. Where's the archaeology? There's not even any archaeology to prove that Solomon was writing books on demons and summoning demons, and that he's in hell now summoning demons with Asmodeus there, and that he summoned Asmodeus and then trapped Asmodeus down and has Asmodeus trapped down there in hell somewhere with a bottle of water, a jar of water there. He's trapped in that jar water there. That's false. Let's not do that. Yeah, Baldwin the Fourth was had a zeal, but not according to knowledge. Yeah, we can say that because he had the cross. There's a known account of him bringing the cross in front of the battlefield. When in one account, he was rushing into the battle, and he kneeled to the cross. Now, did he do that because he sincerely knew that was an idol and he was worshiping to idols and that he was praying to a false god to give him victory? I don't believe that. I believe he was sincere and that he sincerely believed that there was nothing wrong with having a cross because he was just ignorant, not because he was taught by anyone that was wrong. Just like when we were in false Christianity, we didn't know we were bowing to idols and false gods. But we sincerely thought there's Christians that sincerely don't know that crosses and idol shit in Jesus Christ shit is off. But they sincerely believe in that they're believing in that's the true God. Am I crazy on that? Is that all completely wrong on that? Am I completely wrong on that?
Do you understand? Lightning bolt.
Am I speaking a bunch of babble? Or is that not true? Is there not Christians that sincerely believe that they're correct, who may be of the elected still, who think that's the true God? Yeah. So lucky for the ransom. But I just want to get that out of the way too, because and Baldwin the Fourth fought against the Muslims, fought against Ishmael. So you're damn right. I'm a root for Baldwin the Fourth instead of Saladin. Romans 10:2. For I bear them record that they have a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge. So was King Baldwin according to knowledge? Though no. I'm not gonna say he was. Like Solomon, we know he was praising other idols, sacrificing to other idols in the day, because he built a temple for him and fell into there's woman's gods. The other heathen women's that he was with, he fell for their gods. Yeah, we can say that. That's facts, because that's written in the scriptures. You have archaeology that can prove that, back you up on that. But can we say that he was worshiping can we say that he was? Can we say that he died in his sins and that we definitely can just debunk that. He definitely repented of that later on, and just like we can also debunk him writing books on demons and shit, and we can debunk him marrying and having sex with Bathsheba and shit. We can definitely debunk all three of those easily. Can we prove Constantine the so-called great, who was really a lame, or the first was a pagan and was really a false, using that Christianity as a cop-out? Yeah, we can prove that. Can we prove the Knights Templars were Freemasons in the background the whole time? No, we can't prove that at all. Because if that was the case, King Baldwin the Fourth would have never ever been able to defeat Saladin. Yeah, because they would say that. Now this is off topic, Slovakia, but Knights Templar. Free. Nice. The Knights Templar go back to Freemasonry. Even AI here would disagree with you dumbass who lack of historical facts. saying the Knights Templar goes back to Freemasonry. That's a lie. Okay, because I think I do got this stupid book. It talks about the Knights Templar going back to Freemasonry, but this is no, the historical Knights Templar did not go back to Freemasonry. The two are separate organizations with different origins. Though some Masonic groups use the name Knights Templar, yeah, they use that name, Knights Templar, but the Knights Templar, them specifically, they don't go back to all that. As an independent body, the medieval Knights Templar were a military order dissolved in the early 14th century, while the Masonic Knights Templar emerged much later in the 18th century. Yeah, Esau took their name, just like he takes certain Native American Indian names, puts it as his own, and then ruins the name, ruins the fucking image that Jake has. Just like today, Israel, right? Esau took our name, Israel, that's our name as a nation. He took that name, put it upon himself, his own people. And now look at every time people mention Israel now, they fucking hate them. Why? Because everything Esau takes and touches, man, he ruins it. So y'all who think the Knights Templar is going back to the medieval Knights Templar, who were military, disciplined monk men, warriors, you're going off. That's not what that goes back to. Don't do that. Stop saying that. Okay, that's not what that's going back to. The modern Freemasonry is considered to have started in 1717 with the formation of the first Grand Lodge. Yeah, so that's years later. Okay, timeline gap. Even Google here is more correct than a lot of you simple niggas saying this shit. There is a significant time gap of about 600 years between the dissolution of the original Knights Templars. Yeah, there is, once again, a keyword, there's a time gap of about 600 years between the dissolution of the original Knights Templar and the emergence of the modern Freemasonry sect called the Knights Templar. Meaning they couldn't have directly merged. Yeah. These Masonic bodies use the name and some symbolism of the original Templars to, yes, because that's what Esau does. He's just he's an identity thief. He thought the name was cool. He was fascinated with Jake, just like he secretly is. Takes Jake's shit, doesn't give him credit, even if it's the way, even today with the way Jake's may dress and shit. Esau doesn't give us credit, even with that. He takes it as his own, tries to make it his own, and then runs off with it. These Masonic bodies use the name and some symbolism of the original Templars to emulate their ideas of Christian chivalry. But they do not claim a direct historical link to the original order. No, they don't. They do not. Because you have some of these, I've seen some of these historians and shit use that cop out. You use these jakes as a scapegoat, which that's completely off. That's like trying to say that the Christians were actually worshiping the sun god. Just like some historians, you have historians today. Now it might not be any of you brothers specifically saying this, but just like you have today with certain historians, man, that they'll okay, because just like with you brothers, man, if you're gonna study history, you better know what you're speaking on, man, and back it all up. Because here, what Esau is doing is which they were off anyway, yeah. This was our judgment. But that's like saying that the Aztecs were Freemasons, which really they weren't. Yeah, they were doing things that the Freemasons would do, like sacrifice and worship idols, but they weren't calling themselves Freemasons and doing all that, man. They were doing human sacrifices, yeah. And I doubt that they had some secret high elite religion in the background controlling shit there. No, they weren't. That all started with Esau, and ultimately on the level it is now, it started with Esau. It really started with Constantine. That's really who started it. But yeah, bro. Masonic myth. The supposed connection between the two is largely considered a myth or legend that arose within Freemasonry itself in the 18th century to lend a sense of ancient lineage to the fraternity. That's what Esau does. That's what Esau does. Just like today with the Jews over there calling themselves going back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, their father Abraham, to make them to validate themselves and make you think that they're the originals, but no, they weren't. They link themselves to Abraham to make you. They'll link them. They'll do that so that you can allow them to keep doing their wickedness and their sick practices that they do, like sucking off a child's penis when it be circumcised and that child, that baby, or keeping the pride parade in that holy land, because they're related to back to go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? How is that when they look like when the original Israelites and the original Israelites and Moses and the one true Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one mentioned in the scriptures, right? Were 99.99% of them, 100% actually, were dark skin, dark shades of brown. Some of the Israelites were lighter skinned, right? Brown, lighter shades of brown. But most of the historical figures we read about, the main ones, the majority of them, a lot of them were very dark skinned brothers, man. Dark shaded tones of dark brown and stuff and whatnot, man. I just had to get into that there.